Welcome everyone and good morning. Today is July 22nd, 2023, and the topic for today's 11 is from Women Focus Canada. It's Senior Nutrition Hour. And before we begin, I would like to introduce the brains behind all of this, our fantastic host, Dr. Oloremi Adewale. So Dr. Oloremi Adewale is a healthcare practitioner with over 20 years of experience in Canada. She's a leader, a community advocate with an intersectional approach. She's a Canadian-trained registered nurse, currently working as a mental health nurse consultant with a major municipality in Canada. And without further ado, I will introduce Dr. Remy. Take it away.
Thank you, Sana, for that warm welcome. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's workshop on the importance of nutrition for seniors. As you have been told, my name is Dr. Oluremi Adewale, and I am the CEO and the founder of Women Focus Canada, a not-for-profit and charitable organization dedicated to impacting lives positively. To learn more about our organization, visit womenfocuscanada.org and follow us on our different social media platforms. I would like to first thank God for blessing this event and allowing us to gather today. I would also like to thank the organizers for organizing and coordinating all the logistics and ensuring everything runs smoothly. Thank you. Thank you to our moderator, to our technical support, to our speaker for their efforts in putting together today's workshop. Finally, thank you to our participants for taking the time to learn about this important topic. I would like to start by introducing further Women Focus Canada. Our mission is to relieve poverty in Canada through the collaborative delivery of transformative programs, such as this workshop that we are doing today. To learn more about our work and for you to know how you can help us to achieve our mission, be sure to visit our website at Women Focus Canada. We are always looking for donors and volunteers to join our fabulous team. Today, I want to talk to you about something that holds incredible significance for each one of us, whether we are young or old. And that is the importance of maintaining optimal health during the senior years. We all have different nutritional needs, and those of seniors are very different from those who are younger in age. Do you know that 1 in 3 seniors in Canada is at risk of poor nutrition, regardless of which stage of life you are in? Your well-being, happiness, and quality of life are the most optimal importance. And one of the important, powerful ways that we can achieve and maintain this is through proper nutrition. It is no secret that eating a well-balanced diet is crucial for our bodies to function at its best. As we grow older, our bodies undergo certain changes. Our metabolism slows down, our muscles may weaken, and our bones may become fragile. We can slow down these changes by giving our bodies the nutrients it needs to thrive. A proper diet not only boosts your immune system, but can also prevent chronic diseases such as diabetics and even some certain types of cancer. By making smart food choices, we are also reducing the risk of cognitive decline and age-related conditions such as Alzheimer's disease. So let us embrace the power of food to keep our minds sharp and vibrant. I want to stress that nutrition isn't just about physical well-being. It is also plays an important role in our mental health. The food we eat directly impacts our mood and energy levels. By eating a balanced diet, we can address feelings of sadness, anxiety, and even depression. By nourishing our bodies with foods that are good for us, we can experience greater joy and fulfillment. However, I understand that eating well all the time is not an easy feat. In our busy lives, it may be difficult to find time and energy to put together a nutritious and tasty food. Also, food costs are also rising, and it may be expensive to choose healthy options at the grocery store. Not to worry, that is exactly why we are here to help you today. I am confident you will find today's workshop very informative with tips and advice from nutrition experts. You will be on a healthy, delicious journey in no time. I hope you will learn lots more today. If you find today's section informative, Women Focus Canada welcomes you to share the learnings with your friends and family. If you would like support our mission even further, you can visit our website at womenfocuscanada.org to find out information about other upcoming events, learn how you can volunteer with us, and of course, donate. We welcome donations of all amounts. No donation is too small. It is thanks to the financial support of participants such as you that we can carry out impactful work across Canada. I know you are eager to start the workshops, so let me stop here. Let us spread awareness about the vital topic of seniors nutrition. Let us work together to ensure that all our years are spent in good health and happiness. So at this time, I would like to welcome our moderators for today. I welcome Araba Opang to help and moderate. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the workshop today. Take it up, Araba.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adewale. Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here spending the morning with you. I'm speaking to you from Toronto, Ontario in Canada. I myself, I'm a healthcare provider, a registered nurse, studied at the University of Toronto and also with a degree from York University. And for many years, close to 15 years, I've been working with seniors who are vulnerable. So this topic, it's something that is dear to my heart. So thank you so much for attending. And we're looking forward to a very educational and thoughtful session. Just a couple housekeeping. If you don't mind, please include in the chat where you are attending, where you're joining us from, the country and the city if possible. And also please include any questions that you have in the chat. We will be checking throughout the presentation and we'll address any questions at the end of the presentation. And with excitement, I would like to welcome our guest speaker for today. Her name is Anjali Gopinath. And she has a degree in food nutrition and dietetics, and is a registered dietitian, both in Canada and in the United States. She has over 23 years of experience working as a nutrition consultant for a major public health unit in Ontario, Canada. She likes to give practical advice so that individuals can be able to promote health and prevent disease across the lifespan. Please welcome to the stage, Anjali. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, Araba. You have done me a lot of justice. And welcome, everybody. If you are here on a Saturday morning attending the webinar, or if you are from another part of the world attending the webinar, it is your precious time that you have spent to come here. So I hope the information that you received today will be worth your time. I would also like to tell you that the information I shared with you today is of a general nature, and it is not intended to treat, diagnose, or give medical advice for any specific medical condition. The information is science-based and is supported by recognized sources. And I'd also like to say that either you are a senior person or an older adult, or you may be taking care of an older adult or a senior, or you may be preparing to enter the next phase of your life. So this is the right place to be. Next slide, please. So there is one common thing amongst all of us. And Sana is just starting the PowerPoint presentation, and we can skip to the next slide. Oh, no worries. No worries.
So I'm going to go to slide number 2 now.
Right, thank you. So I will say, one common thing amongst all of us is, next slide, is aging. That binds us all together. And like I said before, we are already at that stage, or we are looking after somebody who is a senior, or we are just preparing ourselves to be there one day. So welcome to the seminar again. Next slide, please. So a very quick icebreaker, and this is just for each of us to think. What is your favorite tomato recipe? Is it a family favorite? Just think about it. And then second question, which form of tomato do you use in your favorite recipe? Is it only fresh tomatoes? Is it frozen tomatoes or canned? Or is it fresh, pureed, and frozen? Just keep that in mind, and we'll come back to this question at the end of the presentation. Next slide, please. So, when I was invited to do this presentation, I was trying to think of a good title, and the word nourish came to my mind. I looked up the meaning of the word in the dictionary, and I found that nourish means to provide food and other substances necessary for growth, health, and good condition. And when I looked further, the World Health Organization defines health as being a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being. So what I want to draw your attention to here is that nourishing our seniors does not only mean providing good food to eat, healthy food to eat. It's a little bit more than food. And I hope we will see this in this presentation. So what's your opinion about it? Do you agree with me or not? Let's sit back and listen to the information. Next slide, please. Another thing I want to make everybody understand here is that we have various terms that we would call people in the older stages of life. They may be called mature or baby boomers or retired, elderly. No matter what term we use, experts are moving towards using a people first term, such as adults who are older, adults who are younger. So this is something for us to keep in mind. It's part and parcel of us addressing seniors or older adults. So I thought I would just share this with you so we are all conscious of how we address our seniors and that we do not stigmatize them in any way. Next slide, please. At the end of this session, I hope that you will be able to recognize the role nutrition plays, not just in physical health, but in mental health, in economic and social well-being as well, because this ties into the definition by the World Health Organization. We all know that good nutrition improves the overall quality of life. The image you see is of a gentleman called Jack Kupferman. He was the president, or still is the president of an agency in New York City that supports aging. And what he said in this video that was taken back in 2015 is that to stay healthy, seniors have to work at it. Either seniors themselves or people looking after seniors. That means they are caregivers. Or we ourselves, when we are approaching that stage of life, we need to work at it. And I'll leave it up to you to decide how much work needs to be put into keeping our seniors healthy. Is it a lot of work, or is it just regular, consistent, healthy mindset? Next slide, please. So this is the next one. Thank you. So why is nutrition important for seniors? We heard Dr. Adewale in the beginning talk about seniors, that they may get frail towards the later stages of their life. The nutrition is important for seniors because aging is a natural process, and many seniors may face declining health, maybe due to chronic illness or just because it is part of aging. So health does decline to a certain extent. However, healthy habits may lower the disease risk. While it is possible to get all nutrients needed from food, many older adults may not be able to eat the right way in the first place. And many factors interfere with consuming a well-balanced diet. So decrease in appetite, digestive problems, chewing difficulties, and the use of certain drugs are all factors that can interfere with good nutrition, and therefore nutrition is very important in the later stages of life. Next slide, please. So how different is it for seniors or older adults? Well, mostly it is the same. It differs slightly for seniors. And older adults especially need to pay attention to the quality of the foods they eat, because the quantity of foods they eat decreases as they grow older. So in the little that they eat, we try to enhance the quality of the foods they eat. Then that's another good reason why nutrition is important for seniors. Next slide, please. So this slide actually tells us what the nutrient needs are for older adults. And they include calories, which is, in other words, just energy, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, water, and medication. So nutrient needs for seniors don't just stop with protein, fats, and carbohydrates. All the other things listed are also nutrients. We must keep in mind, though, that calorie needs decrease about 5% per decade after the age of 50 due to various reasons like decrease in physical activity, decrease in muscle mass, and decrease in metabolism or body functions. So it is a natural progression for seniors to need fewer calories. But healthy eating requires careful meal planning to get adequate nutrients in those fewer calories. Healthy eating can help promote and protect health and well-being, provide energy and essential nutrients to maintain health, prevents the risk of chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes, and prevents muscle and bone loss to reduce the risk of falling and breaking bones. So my question to you is, which of these nutrients provides calories? In the long list of nutrients that is needed for seniors, which of these actually provide calories? Click, please. The answer is proteins, fats, and carbohydrates are the three nutrients that actually contribute calories. All the other nutrients are very essential to support healthy life of the senior. And we'll go into details about each of these nutrients over the next few slides. I kind of smiled to myself when Araba said I had 23 years of experience. What that challenges me is, how do I put so much scientific information in a very simple way? So in the next few slides and for the remaining of the presentation, I hope I have made an effort for putting and simplifying nutrition information so that it is practical for you to use. Next slide, please. So let's talk about calories or energy. And a couple of times I've already said that the calorie needs decrease with age. It is important to note that what little seniors eat should be of very high quality, because it depends on their activity levels. So a senior who is very active may need more calories. A senior who is less active may not need as many calories. And what we need to strive towards is to avoid a calorie imbalance, which can either be weight gain or weight loss. And we know that weight gain, not just for the senior adult, for all adults, is a risk for many health problems. This is not the time for seniors to be on low-calorie diets. They need to maintain a healthy weight. There is no one healthy weight. It depends on the person and on the individual, and therefore I'm not prescribing any magic number here. On the other end of the spectrum, there can be weight loss. And if there is weight loss, then it increases the risk for malnutrition. So remember in the previous slide, I showed you proteins, fats, and carbohydrates are important. And we need to pay special attention to the quality of these nutrients, because the quality eaten must be such that it provides all of the necessary requirements. Next slide, please. Well, we've talked about calories, and I'm jumping right to the bottom of the list, and I'm going to talk about water now. Water is a nutrient. Water is very critical to life at this age because dehydration is a big issue. Drinking fluids is extremely important for seniors. With aging, body water decreases, and medications sometimes increase water loss from the body. There is a decrease in thirst mechanism and the mobility of seniors to even reach out for fluids. The more serious consequences are seniors falling down due to confusion and dizziness, or infections such as the urinary tract infection. Now, dizziness and confusion may cause falls and even low blood pressure. So we have to be very conscious of how much fluids seniors are able to take per day. Another issue amongst seniors can be constipation, and dehydration can worsen constipation. So drinking liquids throughout the day is especially important for older adults. Even when fluids are available, many older adults become dehydrated, and there are many reasons for this to happen. Like I said before, body water decreases with age. This leaves a very small margin of safety for adults to avoid getting dehydrated, or rather to get dehydrated very quickly. And many seniors are on some medication or the other. And many medications can cause the body to lose water. So even if they are not very active, the medications they are on may cause loss of fluids from the body. I also mentioned thirst mechanism. This sensation of feeling thirsty is not very effective in older adults. As a result, older adults may not even notice that they are thirsty. And as a consequence, they may not consume enough water. Then older adults may also self-limit fluid intake. And why would they purposely limit drinking water or fluids? There are reasons for this, such as decreased mobility to reach fluids, like I said before. For example, if an older adult is bedridden or in a wheelchair, it may be difficult for them to reach out for fluids, and they may not want to bother their caregiver to ask for fluids when they are thirsty. Another reason why they may self-limit fluid intake is fear of incontinence or loss of bladder control. And that is a common occurrence in older people. So to avoid going to the washroom many times, they may just not drink enough fluids. Older adults may also have other aches and pains. For example, they may have arthritis. And getting up and going to the washroom or getting up and going to reach out for fluids may be painful for them. And they automatically then decrease their fluid intake. So what can we do for them? As caregivers or as seniors ourselves, we should keep fluids close at hand. In a glass that can be easily lifted, not a very heavy glass. We can keep a jug or a pitcher beside where they sit or their bed. But again, we have to be conscious that because of a decrease in strength, it can make lifting a full glass of pitcher or a full glass of water, big glass of water, difficult for them. And if the person is very weak or frail, then the best thing for them is a small glass of water, or using a straw may be useful for them as well. So what are the food sources of water? Well, water can come in many forms. Plain water is available, and we are very lucky to live in a country where we can drink from the tap. And other countries also may have certain water treatments. So we can surely keep water, but we can also offer them low-fat milk, soups, and fruit juice, tea or coffee. A word of caution here. Because caffeine can cause water loss from the body, I would recommend that some adults may need to drink decaffeinated fluids. Okay, so this was all about water, and I wanted to address this right in the beginning, because if we concentrate more on calories and proteins and fats, something as simple as water, which is very critical to older adults, may be missed out. Next slide, please. So coming to protein foods. Protein foods are also very important for older adults, as protein foods provide amino acids, and these are essential nutrients which help to build muscle. Having enough protein is also essential to maintain healthy body cells. It builds our immune system to fight infections. It prevents muscle wasting, which is a natural progression in older adults. And if there is an occurrence of surgery, then protein is needed for wound healing, or for any illness that occurs, protein may help speed up recovery. So when I mentioned proteins provide essential amino acids, the word essential means that our body does not provide these amino acids. So it has to come from an external source, which is ideally from food. When we talk about protein foods, what comes to your mind? Mostly, we will be thinking of meat and milk. But some older adults may find it difficult to chew meat because of dental problems. So a good alternative are some vegetarian protein sources like beans, peas, lentils, some nuts and seeds, or the butter made out of nuts and seeds are very good sources of protein. One thing to keep in mind, though, is many meat and milk foods can contain high amounts of fats, and fats contribute to many calories, which can cause weight gain. So remember when I said that there should not be a calorie imbalance and weight gain could be possible? When we choose meat or milk products for seniors, we should try to keep them lean meats and low-fat milk products. Okay, So on one hand, protein is very important for seniors, but they don't need a large amount of protein and they must choose lean protein foods. Also keep in mind that they should use healthy cooking methods. Steaming is a very good cooking method. We can add spices and dry herbs to make it tasty. It doesn't mean steamed food is not tasty, but steaming can not only soften it for older adults to chew easily, but it is also a healthy type of cooking method where there is least amount of fat added. So in conclusion, what I'll ask you to remember is that protein foods have many important nutrients. It is very important for seniors. They don't need to have a whole lot of protein, but they do need to include protein at every meal that they have. Okay, next slide, please. So the next slide is on fats. Fats is a concentrated source of energy. It is also important since seniors are eating lesser amount of food, they need calories from fats as well. But we should choose just enough fat to provide energy and for some important functions of the body. And we should choose lower fat choices. Fat has an important role. It carries fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. So if there is not enough fat in the diet, then these important nutrients or vitamins will not be absorbed by the body. So good sources of fats are lean meats, fatty fish, and I'm saying fatty fish because they are good kinds of fat that come from fatty fish, nuts and seeds or nut butter or seed butter, and vegetable oils. And vegetable oils come from various plants, seeds, and nuts as well. Okay, next slide, please. The next slide is on whole grain foods, and whole grain foods contribute carbohydrates. Notice I'm saying whole grain, which means as far as possible, the whole grain, for example, corn or breads made out of whole grain, when you read the ingredient list on food products, on the labels, you should be able to read whole grain. And those are the best ones. Carbohydrates provide fiber, B vitamins, and antioxidants. And the benefits of having whole grain foods is that they provide complex carbohydrates, which lowers blood sugar and blood cholesterol. And the B vitamins, in fact, are good to slow down the progress of nerve damage. So older adults may have some cataract or memory loss. These are the foods. B vitamins and antioxidants are the nutrients that prevent nerve damage, which in other words can be nerve damage to the nerves of the eyes or in the brain. It keeps our eyes and brain healthy. Okay. I also use the word antioxidants. What this means is that antioxidants are compounds that come from fruits and vegetables and carbohydrates and whole grains. They delay cell damage, or they can even prevent cell damage. And some examples of antioxidants are vitamin C, vitamin E. Where many of us may be familiar with the word antioxidants is also on makeup. Makeups, have these labels of having vitamin C. Basically, what that does is it helps to prevent the breakdown of skin cells. So in other words, it can be good for something that is seen. It is also very good for our internal cells as well. Now, there are two types of carbohydrates. I mentioned complex carbohydrates, and these are anything with whole grain. So whole grain flour, whole grain breads, even our cultural grains and flours can come in whole grain form. So let's leave the white flour aside or the white bread aside. Let's choose whole grain breads. brown rice is a good complex carbohydrate as well. And fruits in their whole. So fruit juice is simple carbohydrates. Fruit itself provides complex carbohydrates because it has fiber in it. Okay, so that's the distinction between complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. Next slide, please. And before I start talking about vegetables and fruits, something to note is that if you are going to increase the whole grain amounts in your daily meals, then please remember to drink plenty of water to avoid any kind of bloating. Coming to this slide now, vegetables and fruits. This important note is applicable even for vegetables and fruits because vegetables and fruits also provide fiber in their complex carbohydrate form, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, almost like carbohydrates, but less starchy. The benefits of eating vegetables and fruits are numerous, but just a few that I will mention. They prevent constipation because they provide fiber. They boost brain health, and that is the reason they boost brain health is because of the vitamins and minerals in them. And they strengthen bones. How do vegetables and fruits strengthen bones? Because some green leafy vegetables and some dark green vegetables contain some calcium. And we know that many older people cannot tolerate milk. So some calcium in their diet can even come from some dark green leafy vegetables. Overall, any dark colored vegetables or fruits are going to provide fiber, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants for the senior. So try to eat as many vegetables and fruits in many, many forms. Either they can be eaten raw if chewing is not an issue, or they can be eaten as purees, in smoothies, just cooked simply with lots of flavoring. Next slide, please. This slide is basically a slide on vegetables and fruits. But what's new on this slide, if you notice on the right-hand side, is there are different forms of vegetables and fruits. Certainly, if you can access fresh fruits and vegetables, go for it. If chewing is a problem or if cooking is a problem, then canned fruits and vegetables and frozen fruits and vegetables are equally healthy. You may be a little taken aback by this, but these days, the food processing has become so sophisticated that when vegetables or fruits are picked at their ripest stage and transported quickly to a facility for either canning or freezing, they retain a lot of the original vitamins and minerals that were in the fresh form. So remember that canned and frozen vegetables and fruits are almost as good as fresh. There are certain things to keep in mind. For canned vegetables, for example, corn or green peas, you can rinse out the liquid that is in the can and drain out and rinse out to minimize the sodium content of the vegetable. And in the case of fruits, buy canned fruits in their own juices, or if they are in light syrup or heavy syrup, you can drain it out and rinse it out a bit. The fruit has been sitting so long in the syrup that they are sweetened anyways. So you don't need the extra sugar. So drain it out, rinse out the fruits, and you can use it. The same thing with frozen vegetables and fruits. If you freeze vegetables and fruits, whether you have gone grocery shopping and bought fresh vegetables and fruits, if you think you're not able to use them right away, please freeze them. Wash them, chop them, freeze them. In this way, you will be minimizing food wastage. In Canada, at least, a very high percentage of food gets wasted from the household. So we want to avoid that, right? So when you go grocery shopping and you buy fruits and vegetables, any perishable fruits and vegetables, And if you fall ill, make sure that you're able to freeze up what you have bought fresh. You can pull them out later and you can use them just as well. Next slide, please. So coming to vitamins, we'll talk a little bit about this now. Many of us hope to live a long life so that we can experience many years of quality time with our loved ones, or we have more time to explore and learn new things. Well, it seems like vitamins and minerals are marketed just for this purpose. But instead of buying them over the counter, let's see if we can get them from food. Now, vitamin and mineral needs for older adults are about the same as younger adults. However, there are a little bit of difference. B vitamins are very, very important. They are essential vitamins. And again, the word essential means our bodies do not produce it. Hence, we can get it from an external source. Mostly, we should get it from food. And for example, the first vitamin on the slide is folic acid, which is vitamin B9, but we usually call it folic acid or folate. These are easily available in ready-to-eat cereals, breads that are fortified, orange or grapefruit juice. And vitamin B12, almost most of our adults, older adults, are deficient in vitamin B12. It is very common. The reason B12s are needed by older adults is because most B vitamins are absorbed in the stomach lining. And because we know older adults have digestion problems, then this vitamin does not get absorbed. Vitamin B12 is one of those vitamins that is recommended to get through a supplement. Okay, but still it is available through food as well. So mostly animal products contain high levels of B vitamins. Now, going on to vitamin D. Depending where you live, vitamin D can be a concern if older adults are not going out too much in the sun. So a supplement of vitamin D is recommended after the age of 50. And D vitamin does not get generated by the body very easily. And with older age, even more less. So a supplement might be beneficial. Vitamin D is also needed to absorb calcium. And the reason we are talking about D and calcium together is because of bone loss, calcium loss from the bones, leading to osteoporosis, which is very, very common in older adults. So to prevent that, make sure older adults are having adequate amounts of vitamin D and calcium. And we'll talk about calcium in the next slide as well. Where do we get vitamin D from? We get it from fortified cereals and milk, eggs, even organ meats like liver, and some fatty fish like salmon and tuna. The last vitamin we'll talk about today is vitamin E. These are readily available again through cereals, through fortified milk, as well as through vegetable oils. So make sure that we are choosing healthy vegetable oils in the cooking for seniors. Vitamin A is a vitamin that actually older adults don't need much of, because vitamin A is stored more easily with age. This is a little bit different. So this makes overdosing with vitamin A supplements more common amongst older adults. So beware of vitamin A. But if older adults are getting vitamin A from their food, from carrots or from ready-to-eat cereals and milk, overdosing is not a problem. But through a supplement, older adult can get overdosed with vitamin A. Next slide, please. We'll talk about minerals. Calcium, magnesium, and zinc are important minerals for older adults. Because older adults have a low dietary intake as such of food, these minerals are important. We've talked about calcium and its relationship to vitamin D. It's important to protect older adults against osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is a condition which thins the bones and can lead to painful fractures. Calcium is most likely to be sourced from milk products. Keeping in mind that some older adults cannot tolerate milk, they may be able to tolerate milk products where the lactose is broken down, for example, in yogurt or in cheese. But other sources of calcium can also be through dark green leafy vegetables. Broccoli also has a calcium content. If older adults are able to chew the soft bones of canned salmon, then that's another source of calcium as well. Magnesium is needed, and zinc as well is needed for body functions. Many cells require magnesium and zinc to function well. And food sources of magnesium and zinc are again ready-to-eat cereals, beef, potatoes, some breads that are fortified, and even milk and poultry. Now, in the section of minerals, we need to make note of iron. Just like vitamin A, iron is stored more readily in older adults, and excess iron is not good. So we have to be careful about seniors eating a lot of red meat because red meat is very high in iron. Okay, next slide, please. A word of caution as far as supplements are concerned. Supplements are not replacements. Vitamins and mineral supplements cannot make up for a poor diet. No supplement contains all the essential nutrients that the body needs. The basis for good health depends on a well-balanced diet from a variety of foods. And the keys to good nutrition are variety and moderation. The greater the variety, the less likely a deficiency or excess of any vitamin or mineral will occur. Don't take isolated nutrients or don't take large doses of any vitamin or mineral because they can take in too much and can cause overdosing. One might think that more is better when taking a supplement. However, a vitamin or mineral in large amounts can be dangerous. And as I said earlier, supplements cannot make up for a poor diet. So follow the food plan of your country, and most of them do recommend food first, then supplements. However, as we get older, we do sometimes need to take certain vitamins or minerals. So take only that which is recommended by your healthcare provider. And there are questions to keep in mind to talk to your healthcare provider. Does the supplement contain a balance of vitamins and minerals? When all supplements and fortified foods are combined, is this dose still safe? Does the supplement carry a code approved by the government to assure potency and purity? Is the supplement safe? And always remember, the term natural does not always mean safe. And finally, overdosing is easier with supplements rather than with food. So keep that in mind. And I talked to you about vitamin A, I talked to you about iron. Excessive amounts of these nutrients can accumulate and be harmful. And dangerous levels can produce symptoms like nausea or vomiting, which are common symptoms for many other things. So it can go hidden. So we must be very careful with older adults taking supplements. Toxicity can happen with either fat-soluble vitamins or water-soluble vitamins. Not so much with water-soluble because most of it gets flushed out. But overall, we should be careful about supplements. Another thing to keep in mind is nutrients interact with each other in the body. So a balance of all nutrients is important. And if the body has too much or too little of any nutrient, it can affect how the body uses the nutrients. Okay. Next slide, please. So the question now, after you've heard about all of these nutrients, how much does a senior need? How much should a senior need? What I'll tell you is that it is on a very individual basis. But I realize if you are attending this webinar from another country, the information in your country may differ. However, most countries still recommend a larger portion of vegetables and fruits a little bit of whole grains, and a little bit of protein. The picture image that you see on the slide is called the Eat Well plate, and this has been approved by the Government of Canada, where half of the plate is filled with vegetables and fruits, a quarter of the plate has whole grains, and another quarter is with protein. So check out what is the food guide in your country, and accordingly, you can have a healthy diet on a daily basis. Next slide, please. So far we've heard about how nutrition affects physical health. But what we eat also affects other factors related to nutrition. That include the economy of the person, the mental and social well-being. So let's see how nutrition can impact these other factors, or vice versa, how these factors influence what we eat. Next slide, please. Now, most seniors live on a fixed budget. We all know that. But despite living on a budget, they can still eat healthy most of the time. What I recommend is that all seniors have some basic food items in their kitchen. These are mostly non-perishable items. And this is a list of some of those items you can see. For the vegetable and fruit category, there can be some canned foods like corn and green beans, tomatoes as well. Some dried foods can be onion and garlic flakes to add a flavor to their foods. And some dried fruits can be prunes and raisins. In the whole grain section, they can even store whole wheat flour or any kind of wheat flour or grain flours in the freezer. They don't go bad. They can freeze bread slices. They freeze very well and they thaw very well. And they can also put brown rice or oatmeal in the freezer. It won't get bad and it can be used very easily. Protein foods such as chickpeas, beans, lentils can come in canned form as well, and they can be on the shelf for a very long time. Skim milk powder is a good item to have. It does not spoil easily. And peanut butter is another good source of protein that can be on the shelf for a very long time. So in the next slide, we'll see some recipes for these, just the ideas of recipes, using these basic food items to make nutritious, tasty, quick and easy meals for seniors. You don't need to be an expert cook or have a lot of expensive equipment to prepare these recipes. Using these recipes will help you save money and you will still be able to enjoy nutritious foods. Next slide, please. So don't forget dried herbs and spices, and any kind of broth, if it is low sodium, is also good to keep on the shelf for a long time. Next slide, please. So what I've done here is on the left side, I've listed all the basic shelf items. And on the right side, I've given some sample recipes. Unfortunately, the time doesn't allow us to go into each of these recipes, but from the name of these recipes, you will see that they're pretty easy. So some sample recipes are corn soup or tomato soup, green beans and a chickpea salad, a tuna salad from canned tuna, pasta in tomato sauce, macaroni in cheese sauce, banana bread made with raisins and peanut butter, or oatmeal cookies. All of these recipes come from just basic food items that can stay on your shelf for a long time. I hope this has been helpful. Next slide, please. Now we'll go into some factors that are very important to keep in mind with regards to seniors or older adults. After cooking for big families or after cooking and being busy with careers, older adults may find themselves shopping just for themselves or for just two people. And it can be very challenging to grocery shop for just one or two people. But some of the tips are seniors should be encouraged to shop with a friend. They can split large quantities amongst themselves. They can shop together to experience some time with a friend. And finally, they can also do online shopping, which I don't know very many seniors who like that online shopping. That isolates them even further. So I would really recommend the first 3 points. But think about meals and snacks seniors would like to eat and plan meals around these ideas. Make a grocery list to help them remember what foods they need. If you are a caregiver of a senior who lives away from you, when you visit them, make up a grocery list by looking into their shelf and by looking into their refrigerators so that they are not spending excess money on buying things that may already be there. Remember, they may not remember what is there and what isn't. The next time you go and meet a senior, take a little bit of food for them, but not too much because they don't eat a lot. And ask their permission to clean out their fridge or check and see what's on their pantry shelf. Choose affordable, healthy options for them. And some grocery stores offer discount days for seniors. Make sure that they are able to go on those days. All of these things makes it easier on the senior themselves, or if you are a caregiver, it makes it easier for the senior if you do this kind of a planning process before they go shopping. The next item I want to talk about is just cooking for 1 or 2 people. The senior may find it hard to cook healthy meals after a chunk of their time has been spent cooking for large families. So, and maybe this senior has never cooked before. Somebody else has been doing it. So preparing meals and snacks on days when they have most energy is a good thing to keep in mind. Excess food that is cooked can be frozen away in smaller portion sizes. So that on days that the senior is tired, then they can reach into their freezer and pull out some ready-made meals. On the days that they're tired, they can use some no-cook recipes that are easily found on the internet. And they can cook just once or twice and freeze the leftovers. So alternate cooking with a friend will also help a senior. They can also get the opportunity to experience different flavors when they swap their cooked meals with each other. And they can swap family recipes and food traditions as well. Both these points and the tips I've provided help to even get them out of isolation and get them connected to people, because isolation is considered an epidemic amongst older adults these days. Next slide, please. These 2 points also are very important to keep in mind. Eating with others is great for company and good for health, especially mental health. Eating with somebody else may encourage the senior to eat more to stay healthy. Sometimes when the senior is all by themselves, eating is not much fun. But eating with others, like you can join a lunch group or a community center where they have a potluck. You can invite a neighbor over if it is safe, or a family member on a consistent basis. When the family member is a working person and they know they are free on Thursday evenings, then the senior can make a plan with this family member to come over and eat with them. Seniors can also check out the senior community centers and ask whether there's a monthly lunch or a weekly lunch or a community kitchen that they can join and enjoy a meal with somebody else. Because like I said earlier, if the senior lives alone and they are eating by themselves, it kind of feels very lonely. So try these ideas to keep eating meals enjoyable and try a new recipe sometimes. Choose a comfortable place to sit and eat, or even play music during your meal times, which makes eating food by yourself a little bit more enjoyable. The second thing is create an emergency food supply. And we did talk about the basic shelf earlier. So it's very important for seniors to keep a basic shelf with non-perishable items. Next slide, please. Now, I cannot do this presentation without addressing medications, because at that stage of life, seniors do face having some chronic diseases. So they may be on medication as well. Medications may affect seniors' nutrient needs, and they should follow their doctor's advice about having medicines and food, especially if it is to maintain a healthy lifestyle for themselves. So if a senior is taking medication, there are a few things to keep in mind. It is important to follow the recommendations. Some medications need to be taken with food and some need to be taken on an empty stomach. So they need to understand the difference amongst the medications that they are taking. And the best friend of a senior is their pharmacist. So get to know the pharmacist by name. They are always willing to help out and explain as well. Some foods actually interact with medications. So the pharmacist would tell you what interacts with what foods. And some medications can cause water loss from the body. And remember, we talked so much about dehydration and avoiding dehydration. So a senior may need to know that as well. And some medications can cause depression or feelings of loneliness as well. So again, understand your medication and how it interacts with your lifestyle or with the food that you are taking. Next slide, please. Another very important thing that I cannot bear to not address is food safety. Seniors have or may have low immunity. It is caused by weakened immune systems or due to chronic diseases. This makes them very vulnerable to food poisoning. Food poisoning is also called foodborne illness or food-related illness, or simply we can call it food spoilage. It is caused by eating food that has been contaminated by bacteria, viruses, or parasites. Food can get spoiled, contaminated anytime before you start eating it. It can start at the grocery store if the senior has picked up a frozen food item and then gone around the full grocery store and finished shopping 2 hours later. In warm weather, that food from the freezer can start getting spoiled already. So it can start at the grocery store, or it can happen at home during handling, storing, or even cooking. So some signs of food poisoning are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, as well as stomach pain, cramps, fever, and chills. These are all very common symptoms of many other things, but they certainly are signs of food poisoning as well. So be very careful about avoiding food poisoning. Some symptoms can start within hours, and some can start few days later or even weeks later. So we need to be very, very conscious of handling food well on a daily basis. Some foods that spoil easily are protein foods, raw salads, fresh or unpasteurized juices. Seniors must avoid drinking unpasteurized juice, which are generally found at farmers market. So please try to see that the senior does not have any unpasteurized juices in their fridges. Now, the important thing about food spoilage is that it can be prevented by practicing the right techniques of washing groceries, washing hands, washing kitchen equipment. When you're using knives and chopping boards to cut meat, you make sure that you wash it well before you start cutting your vegetables. Or keep different knives or different chopping boards for vegetables and protein foods. Even grocery bags. Many seniors may have actually grown up using reusable grocery bags, and then the world changed to plastic, and now we are going back to reusable grocery bags. There may be drips in the grocery bag from the meat that was purchased. So seniors need to be reminded to wash the reusable grocery bags well and often. Another very important point to think about is thawing of frozen foods. I've mentioned many times during the presentation that it's convenient to have frozen foods that seniors can reach in and eat for themselves on the days that they're not feeling well. But thawing of frozen foods is extremely important. Generally speaking, most people will take the frozen food out and leave it on the counter, but that's not good practice. A little bit of planning is needed. If you know that you will be using a frozen food, take it out from the freezer and keep it in your fridge for a day for it to thaw in the fridge. The reason I'm saying this is because when you thaw things out on the counter, the room temperature thaws out the surfaces of the food, but the inside of the food still remains cold. And for the hours that it is sitting on the counter, the outside surface gets warm and can allow bacteria to grow. So spoilage happens on the food while the center of the food is still cold. So when you put a knife inside to check if it is thawed and you think, oh, the center is still very frozen, you may leave it for more hours on the counter, but that's not good practice. So either thaw it in your refrigerator or thaw it in a microwave, because microwaves have settings for defrost. So use that setting. And when we think about seniors eating leftovers, those leftovers have been heated already once. So leftovers need to be stored and reheated at proper temperatures. Okay, so food safety is extremely important for anybody with low immunity, and most of our seniors do have low immunity. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of the presentation, and I came across this list of sentences which really captures everything that I've talked about. And I have not been the original author of this, so I'd like to give due credit to a person called Janice Herman. She's a PhD, and she works as an adult and older adult nutrition specialist from Oklahoma, USA. I took this from her work. It is called Meal Times. And what I'm trying to advocate here is to make every mouthful count for a senior. So let's go down this list. M is for maintaining a routine. E is for eating well-balanced meals. A is for alertness to any nutritional problems. L is for light and frequent meals. T is for teach the caregiver how to deal with the older adult. I is for interactions between drugs and nutrients. M is minimize confusion for the older adult. Remember, hydration is important. E is to encourage the older adult to eat. And S is for supplement the diet when necessary. Next slide, please. So let's go back and think of what Jack had told us in that picture, that it may take some effort to eat healthy for an older adult. However, we don't need to get stressed about it. We need to think positively. We need to encourage exercise for the senior. Sleep is very important. Emotional health by laughing and connecting with others is also important. And so I hope I have brought the fact to you that nutrition for seniors is not just about the food that they eat, but it is about food and other factors that make up overall health for seniors. Next slide, please. So we're almost near the end of the presentation. So let's circle back to the topic of tomatoes, or it could be any other vegetable or fruit. I've given you a lot of information. Now you think about your answer about what form of tomato do you normally like to use? Is that the only form you can use, or are there other forms of either tomatoes or any other fruit that you can use? And I hope you might see it in another way. Next slide, please. We need to support our seniors by pointing out resources that they can take advantage of. They can talk to their healthcare provider for a lot of information. They can visit web pages for the Dietitians Association wherever they live. They can check for toll-free numbers to talk to a registered dietitian. They can also contact somebody in their local health unit or family practice to find out more about nutrition. If you know some other idea that you've taken from one senior, share it with other seniors, because their network, their social network may not be as large as yours. And share it with their caregivers as well, to keep them connected and to keep them healthy. So when I think about nourishing our seniors, I feel that the body and the brain we need to nourish for our seniors to remain healthy and to flourish. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, my. Thank you so much, Anjali. We could tell that you are extremely passionate about this topic. Thank you. In the beginning, you challenged yourself to see how you could condense the information that you learned in 23 years, and you almost got to your challenge. So thank you very much. And again, to the participants, thank you for those that joined us at the beginning. Thank you for those that joined us midway and towards the end. And we thank you so much for your patience at this time. So we do have some questions that were provided in the chat. And thank you all for noting where you're joining in from as well. So Sana and I will kind of go through some of the questions and answers. So I guess one of the first questions that we want to bring forward is, you talked about freezing items. We're just wondering, when you freeze fruits or vegetables, how long does it last in the refrigerator versus how long will it last in the freezer? And we know that there's a freezer attached to our fridge, and there's also a separate freezer. And I think you could speak more to that.
Mm-hmm. When I think of refrigerators and freezers, they are meant to work for us. But it's very important that the temperatures that you've kept your refrigerator and freezer are the right temperatures. So a freezer must always be below 0 degrees centigrade or 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And your refrigerators are a little bit over that. So how long will fruits and vegetables remain frozen? If they are well packed and frozen in Ziploc bags with the air removed, they can last up to 6 months. Whereas in the refrigerator, they will spoil in 1 or 2 weeks, depending on whether it's a whole fruit or vegetable or whether it's a cut vegetable or fruit. Anything that gets cut gets exposed to oxidation, and spoilage starts immediately. So be very careful. There is one rule about food spoilage that I'm going to say now that was not in my presentation. When in doubt, throw it out. Okay, so for everyone listening, when in doubt, throw it out, because the immune systems of seniors is very susceptible and they have low immunity. So if you have any doubt whether this food is good or not good, throw it out. It's not worth risking eating spoiled food for seniors.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And actually, Judy states that that was one of her biggest lessons in terms of thawing out. So Sana, did you want to take the next question?
Sure. So we have a question from Cheryl D. And the question is, can you drink milk after the expiry date?
Mm-hmm. We can do a whole presentation on expiry dates and best before dates. I can go on for 2 hours or more just on that topic. So it depends on when you purchased the milk. Were you with the milk in the grocery stores for 2 hours on a hot day or in a warm climate? Or is the milk sitting in your car? Or are you traveling back home in warm weather with the milk? Expiry dates mean that date is considered the date where after that you should not eat that food, because spoilage could occur. But spoilage occurs on many factors, whether it was transported at the right temperature, whether people in the grocery store have left it out on the counter, or whether the fridge of the door in the grocery store has not closed properly after someone has opened it. So expiry date means after that date, you should not eat. There's a caveat to that. If you have purchased the food with an expiry date and transported that food to its proper refrigerated item in your home, and there has been minimum loss of time, and if the expiry date does come and you haven't finished that product, but you are confident that you have stored it well, you might be able to consume that food. But keep in mind, we are talking for two different audiences. Like I said, for seniors, do not take the risk. For anyone with immunity compromised because of being a young child or a senior, because of some medication they are on, or because they have a chronic disease, when in doubt, throw it out.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you so much. Just a lot of love in the chat for this informative session. And let's see, I think there was a comment from Judy. It was just related to kind of what you honed on in terms of taking supplements and just her experience and how just to be really careful and seek consultation from a doctor prior to adding supplements. So other than that, someone wanted to clarify this question about the expiry dates and how it relates to canned foods.
So one thing to keep in mind regarding canned foods, when you pick up a can of food, turn it around, look at the top, look at the bottom, look around. If you see any small dent, do not pick up and take that can of food home. And the reason is any dent in a can be so very small that the food will not come out, but bacteria can go into the can. So any dented cans should not be purchased. You can go to the store manager and tell them this can should not even be on the shelf, because canning process happens at very high temperatures to preserve the sterile environment within the can. So whether there is an expiry date on the can or not, if there is a dent, do not pick up that can. Okay. I know the question may come from the fact that there are many food banks who are trying to help alleviate hunger, and a lot of canned foods go to food banks. And in all of that transportation, dents happen. But at the cost of causing any foodborne illness, please do not purchase any dented cans.
Okay, that's great. And I guess if the expiry date says it's expired, you would follow that as well. Okay, right. So thank you so much. We will make the panelists' contact information available. We noticed that time has been far spent. So if there are any additional questions at the end, we'll tell you how to reach the panelists. Right. Thank you all. Even being in the health field, I know that my knowledge has increased from today's session. So thank you so much to our presenter, Anjali. Thank you so much to our vaccines, advisors, Sana and Charlotte. And I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Adewale to, wrap us up. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you so much. What a fantastic presentation by Anjali. I have indeed learned a lot in my 20-something years as a healthcare provider. Education is powerful. I just want to use this time to acknowledge and thank our attendees for staying, for prioritizing nutrition as an important topic, an important area that you spend your beautiful Saturday to stay with us. We acknowledge you. We thank you. We hope to see you next time. For our moderator, you have done so well. Araba, fantastic work. Sana, thank you so much. The rest of the panelists, Charlotte, thank you. All our love to you, our attendees. We want to see you next time. Please visit us at our website. We have a different platform. If you want to send an email to us, information@womenfocuscanada.org is where you can reach us. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. This is live on Facebook. We're looking for volunteers to continue to move the organization mission forward. Join us. We cannot do this alone. Thank you so much. Until next time, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.